Now start the lectures. Mm, In the last lecture, we are taking the conventional programming, which is our black windows for the programmers and event driven for the GUI program for the normal peoples. Right? AWT package, basic package of the our GUI programming, and AWT events for the event handling when user perform the some actions. Example for the button, we take that create the object of the button. Instead of button, we use a JButton from the swing package. Let's set the boundaries and add the button to our frame. We set the size for the frame layout visible to we set the our frame visibility is true, so it is visible to user. Swing component, which is advanced and extended or upgraded from the version 1.2, right, related with the label list, and just prefix is J. So work is the same for the our AWT components and for the swing components, but the backend, the look and feel is different, and the processing power is less compared to the our old component on the different platform like Windows and Linux. Right? This is a layout of the swing button. The difference between them, yes, when. So three major objects, action, right, through which we can perform the events like button, radio button, checkbox. Right. Second one, listener, who observe the which kind of the event we perform it. Right. And third one is a handler. Right. The after listening the event, right, they take the decision. Right. Who will the respond this particular event? So it is our function to respond to our events. Right. Different kinds of the event related to the different inputs. Mm, these are detailed which kind of the source, right, to perform the some actions, right, and according to that we require to implement the listener, right. And if we do not implement this listener, that means we just show the button or checkbox or radio buttons, but we cannot perform the any action. Okay, so if we require to, when user click on the button, then we need to implement the action listener. But suppose we do not require to user just select the checkbox, we do not need to respond because we suppose design is registration page, right. So in that case we do not need to implement the item listener. If we need to perform the some action and respond to the user, in that case we implement the related listener according to our action. This is the life cycle of applets, right. So we use the two kind of the windows, one is in the frame and second one is the applets. If we are going for the applet, a difference between them is the both are available for the desktop application, but applets is also used, right, in the HTML pages. Right now it is not secure due to our limitations from the browsers, so it cannot be executed properly in the browsers, but it can be executed in the old browsers, right. So it is not a good idea to add the applets in a web page for the new future applications. Now if applet is executed, then how it is executed? So first method is init method, like our constructor. It is executed only for the first time when we execute the applet and it's create a object of the applets. After that the start method is executed, and when the start method is executed, it is visible, applet is visible to user, right, in a running mode, in the active mode, right. Suppose it is a inactive or minimized, then the stop method, it is ideal phase. Again we can active the window, start, stop, start, stop, right, it is happening. And when we close the window, it is called the destroy method. So these are the basic four method: init, start, stop, destroy, right. Paint method is a part of the, whenever we start method is executed, that means it show the windows. So to show the window, it is automatically called the paints window. And if we need to change anything manually, then we can call the repaint method, it can call the paint method. Mm, this is an example of the applet. Instead of applet we use a swing applet, so it is a JApplet, right. Here is a method of the paint method. The paint method always have the input argument graphic Z, and through which can draw the different shape, which is already we discussed in the last lecture, right? Like this one, we have a different option: draw string and fill strings, right, draw rectangle, right, set colors. So using different methods we can use the applet as our paint for if any application we required or for any fun type kind of the animation we required. Hmm. And second one is the frame, like this one, the window. So normally both are providing the same facility. Our purpose is to work as a container. Either we use the applet or either we use the frame. And for the frame, it is required to we set the visibility. We also define the default close application. In the applet, we know that for the executing the frame, we require the main method, right? To executing the applet, we do not require the main method. That means it is executed by the applet viewer, right? We just compile both one frame and applets, but to execute the for the frame Java and first normal our execution of program because it's have a main method. But applets do not have any main method, and for that purpose we use the applet viewer. And then file name, not a class name, it is a file name, right? Label, to show the label, it is just for the output information. It is not possible to read from the users, right? Create the object of the JLabels, right? Set the boundaries and add to the framework any panel or any other container. Similarly, buttons, right? We create the object of button, set the boundaries, right? And then add to the frame. Then we over here we use a button with the listener, action listener, right? So whenever user click on the button, we need to perform something. The action listener is the interface, and it's have a abstract method of action performance. That means we need to override this method. Means we need to redefine the action performance method, right? Over here we can just use the one, take the one counter plus plus and set that value on the our button as a text. Text field for the text box to take the inputs from the user, create the object of text field, set the boundary and add to the frame. Another examples, we take the text box. Okay, we take the one more button, right? Then we already okay. So when user click on the button, we also implement the action listener, right? And in that we just get text, take the text from the text box object dot get text, and set that string to the our button. Similar, same strings. It we fastly revise the tomorrow's lecture concept, and we are go for the next one. Border with a different layout is available for the structuring our content on the our GUI window. So border layout is divided by default in the 5 sections. If we need to add the any object, like button, text box, text field, then we pass a second argument in the add method as a what border layout dot north or south or east. It is automatically append in that particular window, right? Similarly, grid layout. So in the border layout, we have the only 5 sections. In the grid layout, we can define how many sections we require, right? And according to that, we can add the control to the particular grid. By default, if we add B1, B2, so by default it is automatically add in the particular grid, but we can also randomly add anywhere. Flow layout. So flow layout, that means we just add the our controls B1, B2, B3 or like that, any one text box labels, right? But one after one. Whenever we call the first object to add to the frame, then it is put it first. Then second add method, second, third, fourth. Depends on our execution of statements, it is appear in our window. The order of the statement is important in the flow layout. Right? Box layout, so it is like a vertical. Right? So we create the 5 buttons, right? Using the new button, button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, button 5, right? But when we going to create a object of the box layout, we give the argument box layout y-axis. That means it is appear as a vertical, right? If we give the x-axis, then it is appear as a horizontal as we required. In card layout, it's look like a card, like our playing the card, one card at a time we can show, and one card after the second card. So over here we create the number of objects, right? We also bind the listener, right? This is also required for the listening. If we implement the method action listener and define the method, but until we cannot bind our current class which contains this method, right? This is a object of this class. So we can bind our current class objects to the particular button, and using that, right, we can bind with the buttons related with the action listener. And when we click on that particular, so the card dot next, so it is what automatically set the next card like this. So first card is a B C, and first card show the object B1 B2 B3. This may be the any complex object, not only just single button, it's maybe a set of the different controls. Option pen. So option pen frequently we use for the three purpose. One is the show message dialogues, right? Second one is the confirm dialog, and third one is the input dialog. How we can use? So like this one, J option pen dot show message dialog. So this is a parents object, that means my frame, in which we need to pop up. It's like a alert window or pop-up window, right? So when we give this one, so it's give the just information, right, and one message. So by default it is a informating message to display the user. The third argument, it is optional, and if we pass, so it is a title of the our message window. And fourth argument is like this symbol. If we like to alert something, warn message or any error message, right? So in the error message it is like a cross or like that, right? Red symbol is there. So we can also display the some images, so we can differentiate the different messages. It is a normal users, right? You are successfully logging or like that, or it is a somewhat important messages. Second one is a input dialog, right? Message dialog, input dialog, confirm dialog. Three kinds of the facilities provided by the option pen. Show dialog, input dialog is what we just pop up the one window with the one text box. Default is what? One text box. And whatever we type inside the text box, it is written as a one string. So if we need to scan the any one value from the user side, right? Then in that case we use this method, right? Otherwise it is not required. And third one is the confirm. It is also many times we can use it, right? The J option pen dot show confirm dialog means what? So whenever it is just execute this window, right? But confirmation dialog with the three buttons, not only just with the one button, three buttons: yes, no, and cancel. So depends on our input, we can further do the some actions. So over here we can receive the our answer yes, no, or cancel. It is what? A, right? So depend on our option, we can compare the A with the J option dot pair yes option. It is a enum constants, no option, and cancel option. If it is put, it is, if we press the yes, then it is value is a one. Yes, it is compared to the yes option. Yes, it is execute this statement. Otherwise, not executed. So that means it is useful for the confirmation purpose. Okay. Now this is the new concept for the today's lecture, checkbox. So we all are familiar with the checkbox, right? Radio buttons, list box, combo box, which we already discussed in the today's lecture. So we start with our examples. Checkbox, right? So over here what we do, this is a simple, we create the object of the frame. Okay, fine. And this is a property of the frames, right? Set size of the frame, visibility, and layout. Now over here we create the object of the JCheckBox, and what is the text to display on the checkbox? It is a C++, right? So it is a one object we prepare for the checkbox. We set the size and layouts, left, top, width, and height. We also create the second checkbox, right, with the different titles, right? And second optional argument, over here we do not pass anything, so it is by default unchecked. If we pass over here, it is a true, then it is a by default checked at the first starting position. Then after we can select, right? So again, set boundary for the second checkbox, left, top, width, and height. We add the first checkbox to our frame, second checkbox to the frame. Now set size 200 by 200 for our frame. It is different. Okay. Okay, it is just simply set the two checkbox, but do not perform the any action because we do not implement the any action listener. So whenever we require the multiple option to the user, in that case, right, we provide the checkbox facility. Okay. Over here, we implement the item listener for which purpose? For the selection of checkbox or not. That means we use the action listener for the button, but we use the item listener for the checkbox. Right? Uh, Checkbox. Over here we create the object of C++. Right? Set the boundaries for that. Then we add that checkbox to our button. Okay, fine. We also create a one label. Right? Label, but we do not pass any message to the label. That means initially your label is blank. We add that label to our frames. Fine. Then action listener. Okay. Now checkbox dot add item listener. Right. If we use a action listener, then we use a add action listener. If we use the item listener, then we bind the item listener. Right. The item listener is interface. It's have a one in abstract method. Right. And name of that abstract method is the item state changer. So whenever state of the item is changed, that means it is selected to unselected, unselected to selected. State of the item is changed, then this function is executed. And to binding this one, we implement, okay, someone is perform this action, then we execute for this function. But for which checkbox, so over here we can bind that one. This function is executed only for the checkbox one. If we have the another checkbox one, 2, 3, 4, then it is not executed for that checkbox. So that means we need to bind our methods, our action listener or our item listener for the checkbox to the particular checkbox when we require to call back or not. Now set size for the frame layouts visible. Okay, fine. Right. Over here, what inside we write, we take the e dot get state change. Right, means if we suppose it is selected already, right, the item state is changed or not. It is many times we use it, suppose in a list box or combo box, we use a similar items, then it is what selected by default. So state is not changed. So in that case, we do not need to execute this code. Right, the item state and means state is changed from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. In that case, it is executed. So we first take the state change. Okay, now, but now it is unselected or selected. Right, if it is selected, then we need to show the, suppose we select the checkbox of the license is accepted, like that, right, condition is accepted, then we show the submit button. Otherwise we do not show the submit button. In that case, we check, we required it is item state is executed, item state changed function is executed in both cases. It is selected or unselected, that means it is from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. But in both cases we need to take the some different action. Right, so over here it is more important, we first check the state, right, what is the current state, and according to that state we can take the decision. We take the example first, this one, and then go for the next. Now we open the one class in the netbeans. Okay, what we in the last lecture, we also just briefly the examples. If anything is new, which is not covered in the PPT. These are part of the PPTs, different function for the graphics method. It is also important from the exam point of view, right? It is many times it is a asked the one small program, right? The 7 marks contains 7 line contains the 7 marks. It is example is also many times asked in the exam. Right? We take the example of the layout, right? Right? And there is a applet cycle init start. We just check it is executed not. Fine. Now create a new class for the our checkbox demo. Okay. First we need to derive our class from the JFrame. Implements. We take the next implement. First we need to go for the my frame constructor. Okay, sorry, not my frame. This is what checkbox demo. Okay, and we also write over here public, or you can write in a different class, public static void main, right? For which purpose? For which purpose? To execute the frame, right? That means we need to create the object of frame in the argues. Create the just a new checkbox demo. That's it. We just call this function. We create the object of these ones, right? So indirectly it is what we call with our constructor, and in the constructor we can show our frames. So this dot set this for our frame, right? So our frame starting point is left top and width and height, right? Then set visibility we need to set, right? So it is not visible. And third one is a set default close, right? So that means when we close the window, for instance, is stopping. JFrame dot exit on close. Fine. First we check it is frame is created or not. Next example we take the, right, it is not always we use a frame for the our desktop application. We can also use for the applets. So we can take the next example in the applets, how we can add the these UI buttons in our applets. Okay, frame is visible, yes, fine. Now we create the object of checkbox. So JCheckBox, right? That means it is a part of the swing components, java x dot swing, right? It is automatically imported over there. So checkbox one equal to new checkbox JCheckBox. Okay, if we need to pass this anything, suppose like a java, right? Okay, fine, right? It's fine. No, we need to set the dimension, what is the size of the checkbox, and also add that checkbox to the frame, otherwise it is not visible. So checkbox dot set bonus. Suppose we take the 10 in the frame, right? The starting point, suppose our frame is visible from over here, right? So that means we can just take the 10 over here, not from the over here. 10 it is a part of the inside margin. Width, suppose we need 100 width, or height is suppose 30. We can set it as we required. Then we add this checkbox to our frame. Frame is this dot add, then checkbox one, right? Right, visible, yes, fine. Okay. Okay, one thing is missing. We do not, by default is a flow layout, so it is a part display in the middle. You can set the, do not worry, it's whatever default. It is a set layout. It is a null, so it is happening the as per our dimension. If we do not write this line, then it is again it is a part of the middle. Okay, 100, right? X Y width and height, fine. Okay, go for the next. We will check it. Now it is executed, right? Shift F6. Checkbox is visible, but it is not responding to anything, right? So we can implement the Which listener? Implements item listener, right? Action listener for the button. Now we implement the acceleration, then it is force something. What is the error? Checkbox is not abstract and does not override the abstract method. Item state changed. So that means we need to implement. So over here we type implement all abstract method. Okay. So it is automatically implemented for us. Over here I can shift this method at the last. Okay. This is just notation, not important. Item state change. That means this function is executed when we select the checkbox or unselect the checkbox, right? But over here just we type the option pen. In the last lecture we studied the option pen dot show message, show confirmation, or show input dialog. Message dialog, confirm dialog, and input dialog. Over here we require just message dialog to show the alert, right? Current object, this frame object, right? And what is our message? Our message is okay, click it or check it, right? For the checking. Now it is executed. We implement the item listener. Now we click on the select the button or unselect the button. It is executed or not. Our target is to this function is executed and we got this alert message, right? But still we do not get any message. Why? Because we have a object checkbox, right? We also have a function, right, which we need to call, but we do not add any binding, right? So over here we need to define that binding. Key my checkbox, right? Checkbox one is add item listener. This statement is important, right? Key this is defined. The my checkbox is bounded with the current object, current class object, and current class object have the item state change. The item indirectly it is now binded with this function to the checkbox. If we have the another checkbox, then again now checkbox one is responded to the events, but checkbox two is not responded. So particularly whenever any object, button, text box, until we cannot bind with the any listener, then it is not responded. Right? Now we wait. Okay, it's happening. Right? Again. Okay. Now our target is only just checked or unchecked, right? So we need to first suppose check the state. So now what is the first object is what? So we know that it is a checkbox. So first we can retry our checkbox over here, right? But what is the a dot get item, right? Or get song is also same. The get item or get object is written the source, right? We already take the get object example in the last time, but it is a generalized. Item is what? It is a checkbox, radio button, list box item, right? Combo box item, we don't know. So we are confirmed, okay, this function is called when we click on the checkbox, right? This method is only defined for our checkbox. We are sure. Then we can cast to the checkbox. Okay. Now, what is the state? So we can check, get the state, right? State of the state changed. You can also directly is checked or selected. Is selected, yes or no? If, right, then we can show something or perform the something operation, or else we can do the some different operation over here like this one. Here it is what? Selected, or it is a unselected, like this. Okay. It is executed for the 2 times. That means is selected, and at a time when we click on the state is changed. So we can e dot, there is a method to dive this one. Return. Do not require that. Get this only. We can check it later on. Right now we are going for the next examples. Right. So it is similar kind. Whenever we need to check, right? Or we first check the get state. It is another method. State is what, checked or unchecked. Over here, instead of checkbox, we directly, okay, this is the object of the related with the informations. Okay, we are single clicked, double clicked, not clicked, right? To e dot get state change, right? If yes or not. If yes equal to 1, right, then we do this thing. This is not required, and in this thing. This is another style, right? But this method is responded when we select or not selected. Okay, go for the next, and then we take the break for the 5 minutes at the 12:25 and start the second session, right? Radio buttons, so it is similar kind of the object, fine, but different is something. When we have the multiple, suppose over here I can take the 2 radio buttons, right? JRadioButtons. We directly take the example to creating this one. JRadioButtons. Okay. V1 equal to JRadioButtons. Here I type the C programming, and similar for the second one, C++, right? Type the B2, and I add this one dot add B1, this dot add B2. Okay. Okay, we cannot set the bounds location. Set bounds. Suppose it is a 10, top 30, 40, 100, 30. And similar we doing. This is not for this for the B1. Okay. Radio button B1, and this is a radio button B2. Just to increase the top, so it is a 10, 14, 70, and B2. Now we check it. Now both are busy. Okay, but this like this one. Okay. Now it is what both are selected, which is we do not like, right? We do not need to both are selected. Then what we are doing? We need to, over here in the example, we have create the object of the button groups, right? So that means out of the group, we need to just only select the one button, not multiple button are allowed. If we are not use this button group, then it is available, right? It is not required in the checkbox because the checkboxes are possible to multiple selection. But in radio button, we always require to select the only one button. So we create the button group, button group, g dot add b1, right? We add our button in the group. This is a group 1. Suppose if we have a different list, suppose one group for the selection, semester selection, and one group for the branch selection, then we require to take the 2 objects of this button group, one for the semester and one for the branch. Now then you check it. uh, this one. Now this one is automatically unselected. We select this one is unselected, right? Okay, clear. Okay, and visibility, you can set the flow layout because it is why it is not visible. Okay, like this. We can just change the layout as we require. Clear. Okay, in this add-on we do not need to set this left and right. Okay, we break our lecture over here and we again coming back, right, for the second session.